President Biden and President-elect Trump will meet in the Oval Office on Wednesday. That's according to a White House spokesperson. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcast Network.
I'm Emily Campagno, and this is the Fox True Crime Podcast.
And I had nothing to do with her disappearance, but people still accuse me of it.
I sit down with the people who lived the nightmares.
I was in shock. I was just devastated.
The investigators who tirelessly worked on the case.
I feel for their families, and I really hope that they can catch this guy.
Bringing you closer to the story than you ever thought possible.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network. Listen to the all-new Bret Baier podcast featuring Common Ground, talking to lawmakers weekly from opposite sides of the political spectrum about the issues of the day and how Americans can find common ground in a politicized world.
That's just not happening on Capitol Hill. It takes leadership, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Along with all your Bret Baier favorites like the campaign, the candidates, the all-star panel, and much more. Available now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
A FEMA employee has reportedly been fired after allegedly instructing staff not to provide FEMA in the aftermath.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What the footage shows. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. A man was shot by police during a drug search last August. Harrison Silcox reports on the body cam footage.
An IMPD SWAT team was called to a motel off Pendleton Pike near North Post Road last August 23rd for a narcotics search. Kentrail Small was their suspect who was locked in a motel room. Police say they used sirens to get Small to surrender, but that did not happen. Once officers broke inside, Small and a woman were seen getting out of the bathroom. That's when police tried to arrest Small. Body cam footage showed Small reaching for a gun while cops were trying to put him in handcuffs. IMPD still looking into the whole thing. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the city of Muncie is mourning the loss of a police officer. Officer Josiah Mahler died Wednesday after dealing with an illness. He had been with the department for 1.5 years. Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. won't play in Sunday's game against Buffalo because he's been dealing with both a back and finger injury. Head coach Shane Steichen said Friday afternoon that lately Pittman's back has been giving him the most trouble.
He's been battling like crazy. Like I've said before, one of the toughest guys ever been around.
Steichen says he hopes that by sitting Pittman out this week, it will give him the time he needs to be ready for the following week. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, widespread on and off showers are likely, low temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Tomorrow, on-off showers are likely for the morning, high temperatures in the mid 60s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Research shows smoking costs Indiana businesses $3.1 billion every year. It also shows that an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes would drastically reduce smoking, which could save lives, create jobs, and infuse the state of Indiana with hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Read the reports from the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation at thepriceofsmoking.org and see for yourself how an extra $2 per pack tax on cigarettes can have a positive impact on Hoosiers.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll at healthcare.gov by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
It's JMV and Miss M's Home and Gardens fall sale continues. 30 to 50% off all trees and shrubs in stock. State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom.
Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. If you want to join us on YouTube, you can go to YouTube, search for 93 WIBC or search for Gun Guy, and you can see the actual broadcast of the show here tonight. So we've had an important week in terms of national politics anyway, in terms of the presidential election. And let's talk about that just a little bit. Before we do, though, I want to give a shout out to the folks in Avon at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. They hosted me today for my Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. And we had a full class, sold out, as it typically tends to be. And we spent 5 hours talking about the most important legal issues that you need to know as an Indiana gun owner. And the reason I enjoy teaching that class so much is because people have great questions, great challenge, great hypotheticals. And as we're talking about things like when you can use force in self-defense, when you can use deadly force in self-defense, when you can and cannot even point your gun at someone, the places where you simply cannot carry a firearm, what constitutional carry did and did not do when we passed that and it was signed into law here 2 years ago. I mean, all those different issues, they all raise a lot of questions in people's minds, and there's so much bad information out there, especially on the internet. You go out on the internet and there's just so much BS, so much bad information that a lot of people come into that class with just a lot of confusion or at least misinformation or misimpressions about what Indiana law actually is and what it's not. And there's just, and I always say this, I always use the same metaphor. If you listen to the Gun Guy Show, you probably heard me say it before. It's like playing Pop-A-Mole, dealing with the bad information out there. Like, I'll give you an example. Came up today in the class. The information you see out on the internet all the time is if you have a nonviolent felony on your record, as long as it's nonviolent, you can carry a gun in Indiana. And there are people out there that will state that on the internet with absolute 1,000% certainty, with complete confidence. Oh no, you can carry a gun in Indiana if you only have a nonviolent felony conviction. Is that true or is it not true? It is absolutely not true. Why? Because federal law also applies to us here in Indiana. And under federal law, as it currently stands, if you have any felony conviction, and this is a conviction for which you could have been sentenced under the maximum penalty for the crime you were convicted of, if you could have been sentenced to over a year for that particular crime, doesn't matter what you were sentenced to, it matters what you could have been sentenced to. That is the maximum penalty for the crime you were convicted of. If that maximum penalty is over a year, you have a felony conviction. And under federal law, if you possess a firearm in Indiana or in any other state, you're looking at a potential 10 years in federal prison. Does that apply to us here in Indiana? Yes. In addition, under constitutional carry, which we now have in Indiana and have had for the last couple of years, thanks in large part to members of the 2A Project, my organization that I started in 2020, man, we showed up. We fought like hell, and we got it passed. But even under constitutional carry, if you're prohibited under either state or federal law from possessing a gun, you can't carry a handgun under constitutional carry. And so if you have a felony conviction on your record, you're found with a handgun in public, in your car, when you're pulled over, whatever it might be, that even under Indiana law, you're looking at unlawful carrying of a handgun. And you're looking at jail time for that as well. So that's just one example of just the colossal amount, the uncontrollable amount of bad information there is out there on the internet. And that's why I love teaching this class, because so many points I cover we'll talk about, and people will just look at me like, well, that can't be right, or that's not what I've heard forever. I'll give you another example. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to the people that came, again, all 40 of you that came to the class today. Also to Parabellum out in Avon, who hosted us, just do a great job, and it's so much appreciated. Nice, big, comfortable classroom. But so many of these issues come up that people have a misimpression on. Somebody asked me about, well, how do you get convicted of brandishing a gun in Indiana? Do you know that in Indiana, brandishing is not a crime? There's no such crime as brandishing. And that completely throws people, because they're like, hold on, wait a minute. I've been out there on the internet, and people say, oh, look at this video, or look at this news account, and clearly that person was brandishing. This came up in a Twitter post, an X post by Reverend Charles Harrison, leader of the 10-Point Coalition here in Indiana, who just does great work, fabulous work for Indiana. And he described a situation, and I think there was security video involved, where a person walked into a gas station just openly carrying a gun, had a gun in their hand. A lot of people immediately reacted to that and said, aha, that's brandishing. Well, it may be a crime. It may be a crime like intimidation with a deadly weapon, or if he points it at someone, another crime called pointing a firearm, or if he fires the gun and endangers someone, it could be anything from criminal recklessness all the way up through attempted murder. But we don't have a crime called brandishing. No such crime in Indiana. There's such a crime in a lot of different states, and you may see it on TV or you may hear it discussed, but it doesn't exist in Indiana. And that's, anyway, why I enjoyed teaching this class so much, because we get to separate, fact from fiction. We get to separate what people believe is the law from what the law actually is. And then we always have a great discussion with the hypotheticals and the what-ifs. It just makes for a really fun day. So that was 9 to 2 out at Parabellum in Avon. Thanks to Kevin Muller, who hosted us. Thanks to Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. Great place to go buy a gun, go shop for a gun, and or use the range and practice your marksmanship, your gun safety. All a great place to do it. And we did that out in Avon today. We're going to take a break here in a minute. We're going to shift gears. I'm bringing you up to date on the trial in Delphi involving the murder of these two beautiful little girls. And a person is, Richard Allen, is being accused of committing that double murder. And he's on trial, and the jury is deliberating as we speak. I've talked about the case quite a bit on Hammer and Nigel. In fact, Hammer and Nigel have had me on, along with Dunny Burgess, who's an absolute rock star on reporting day to day. I mean, he's part of a pool of reporters that are, the individuals of which are allowed into the courtroom on a rotating basis, and then they then share their notes, share their information with all the other reporters in that same pool, and then they're all then able to report back through their stations, their newspapers, whatever it might be, on what happened in the court that day. Donnie is one of the guys that gets to go into the courtroom on a rotating basis, and he and I have been joining Hammer and Nigel every day for the last, couple of weeks. If you haven't heard it, we've gone in and Donnie does his update, and then I color commentary, I think, is the best way to describe it. I offer some color commentary in terms of what's going on from my perspective as a trial lawyer, and I've been a trial lawyer, defense attorney for a long, long time. And I offer my color commentary. I explain some of the legal maneuverings that are going on, some of the legal terminology that the folks in the news group may not have direct familiarity with, and I provide that additional commentary. And it's gotten a really good reaction. It's been a lot of fun for me to see. Hammer and Nigel have really liked it. The response on social media and on the YouTube feed on their show has been really positive. So it's been a lot of fun. But I'll catch you up to date a little bit on this last week, because I've talked about the case here on my show before, and some of the firearm-related issues Well, a lot happened this last week before the jury got the case. The jury is now deliberating. No verdict as of today. The jury's gone home, and so we may have one at some point Monday, or we may not. I can talk about that whole process, but I want to continue to take your calls as we always do, especially on a day when I just taught Essentials of Indiana Gun Law that you hear me pitch here on the show all the time. Hey, if you got questions about Indiana law, you got questions about the use of force and self-defense, the use of deadly force and self-defense, where you can and can't carry a gun, your questions about, for instance, the effects of constitutional carry, what it did or didn't change. We'd love to hear your questions. I'd love to answer them right here on the air. Give us a call. Producer Jack will get you right on the air. It's 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Aren't you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baer Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Indiana Gun Club. You know, Indiana Gun Club is Indiana's premier shotgun club. They're located in Fortville, just minutes from Indianapolis. In fact, they're just a stone's throw from the boat ramp at 113th and Oleo Road, there on the northeast side. It's where I learned to shoot sporting clays. It's where you can shoot trap, skeet, and sporting clays. They've got a gun shop with some of the nicest firearms, not just firearms for shooting trap, skeet, and sporting clays, which they feature there out on their ranges, but any kind of self-defense firearm, self-defense rifle, self-defense handgun, shotgun. I've bought them all right there at Indiana Gun Club. In fact, some of the nicest handguns I own, Wilson Combat, Dan Brown, and others, Ed Brown, I should say, fabulous firearms right there at Indiana Gun Club. They can also host your corporate event, your fundraiser, your political fundraiser, your charity fundraiser. They can bring in your group. They can cater in a wonderful, fabulous meal. Gordon Gamilla, their events coordinator, is a trained chef, and I've had his barbecue, pulled pork, absolutely fabulous. He can cater in your meal for your group and also have them out shooting sporting clays out on the ranges. They'll provide instructors, they'll provide shells. They can do all of that as part of your corporate event, your fundraiser, whether political or charity fundraiser. It's a lot of fun. I participate in multiple events out there. Always enjoy it, and we always raise a lot of money. Your corporate team building exercise, they can host that as well. Check that all out at indianagunclub.org. That's indianagunclub.org.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Barrington Jewels believes in the timeless value of exquisite craftsmanship. Discover stunning collections for engagements, weddings, and more. Whether you're looking for the perfect diamond or a unique pre-owned piece, the expert staff at Barrington Jewels is here to guide you. Visit today to find the jewelry that will last a lifetime. Visit Barrington Jewels today or shop online at barringtonjewels.com. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah?
I can't tell my mom. She'll never understand. I mean, how was I supposed to know he would share it with the whole school?
You can't help what you don't know. Tell the teens in your life they can talk to you about what's happening online.
Hey, you know you can tell me anything, right?
Okay, I need to show you something.
Learn more about online safety at InternetCrimesAgainstKids.com. A message from the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, sponsored by the Indiana State Police.
The holidays are a magical time to get engaged. At Shane Company, we're here to help you create your dream engagement ring in just 3 easy steps. Choose a setting that speaks to your style. Compare diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. Then personalize it with a decorative crown and special engraving. Or choose a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, you'll find everyday competitive prices, a no-pressure environment, and an unmatched free lifetime warranty. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Everyone knows that hoops hit harder in Indiana.
Turner pounds it down.
Be there when the Pacers and Knicks square off in a hard-hitting playoff rematch this Sunday.
Halliburton on the move, bouncing it into the lane. You will not see a better pick and roll than that. Turner dunks it with a right hand.
It's an Eastern Conference rivalry that's always a battle when your Pacers meet the New York Knicks. Be part of the fun Sunday at 5. Get your tickets at pacers.com/tickets. Pacers Knicks, Sunday at 5.
Latrell spent more than 8 years in foster care. His world changed when he was adopted at 15 with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
I think about how much we love him, and I wish we could have had him for his entire childhood.
The foundation is changing the lives of thousands of teens waiting in foster care. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Are you worried your furnace isn't ready? Fear not at B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical. Visit B+W.com/radio where your comfort is their priority. B&W is your independent American Standard air dealer.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Hey, to the folks who have tried to call in, and listen, I was hoping we wouldn't have this problem, but producer Jack and I, we both apologize. We were both trying to answer the phone, and we cannot hear anything on this phone system. And it's not unique to this show. When I was in with Hammer and Nigel, because like I said, I've been coming down here or calling in pretty much every day for a couple of weeks. Hammer and Nigel had a bunch of problems trying to answer calls with a phone system here. So it's something here internal at WIBC. We apologize for that. Hey, if you got a question, if you were trying to call, go to Twitter, send me a question at Guy Relford on Twitter. Give me a follow while you're there, trying to build my X following or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days, or Facebook. Go to Facebook, send me a message there. By the way, I got kicked off Facebook. I got totally booted from Facebook at my old account, and I lost like 12,000 followers, which, isn't as much as a lot of people, but it was a fair amount. And I got booted, get this, for allegedly trying to sell guns on Facebook. I have to tell you the story. If you're on Facebook or on social media generally, you should know this story. I got totally booted. I got kicked off. And the only way to get back on Facebook is I had to create a new account. And so I did. I created a new account. My old account had my middle initial, which is A. I had Guy A. Relford, and that was on Facebook. And I got booted. Why did I get booted? Why did Facebook accuse me? And apparently I had like 3 strikes on this. And at no point did I ever come anywhere close to trying to sell a gun on Facebook. First of all, I don't sell guns. I don't sell guns for a living. If I buy a gun or own a gun, I'm extremely likely to keep that gun forever, or on a rare occasion, I may trade that gun in on another gun I want a little more. But I don't sell guns, and I sure as hell don't sell guns on Facebook. So how did I get kicked off of Facebook for trying to sell guns? Well, here's how that happened. All the way back at the beginning of the Olympics, I still laugh at how this all happened. At the beginning of the Olympics, do you remember the horrific part of the opening ceremonies of the Olympics in Paris, where they had what was clearly a parody of the Last Supper that ordinarily would feature Jesus and the disciples, but they sort of reenacted the Last Supper with, and I want to say this respectfully, drag queens, I think is probably the appropriate term, transvestites. And again, I'm not trying to be derogatory about their lifestyle, but a lot of people took offense at that. A lot of people took it as an attack on the Christian religion. And a lot of people were very critical of the Paris Olympics and the organizing committee and their decision to essentially poke fun at millions and millions of Christians all around the world. And I found it offensive as a Christian. I'm not easily offended. A lot of people in this world, in my mind, are way too easily offended, and we spend a lot of time dealing with people who are offended about things that just simply don't matter much. And so I'm not easily offended. I wasn't personally offended. I just thought it was in poor taste. And in the meantime, Hammer and Nigel came out on their Facebook feed, on their Facebook page, and they were criticizing the opening ceremony, including the Last Supper skit, I guess is the appropriate term. And they said, in kind of Hammer and Nigel style, and I completely agreed, they said, well, this means it's our responsibility now to make fun of the French, to ridicule the French for the remainder of the Olympics. And so immediately people started coming on in response to their post on Facebook, talking about ridiculing the French in various different ways. And so, as a firearms guy, and I immediately posted my two favorite French jokes. And the first one was, how many French soldiers does it take to defend Paris? And you wait for a few incorrect responses, and then you come back and say, no one knows because they've never tried, which is obviously a reference to the fact that the French surrendered in World War II and allowed Hitler to march into Paris to much pomp and fanfare. The free world had a very hard time stomaching at the time. And so, okay, that's French joke number one. And this is what started the eventual trail that ended with me getting kicked off Facebook completely. That is, I told my other favorite French joke, which was, I have a French rifle for sale, never fired, only dropped once, which I've always thought was hilarious. I've told that joke for a long, long time, many, many decades, and obviously a reference to the same phenomenon, which is the French surrendering and not defending their own country during World War II. However, the words in that, and this was just a comment to Hammer and Nigel's post about ridiculing the French and our obligation to ridicule the French after that opening ceremony to the Olympics. And so I told what was obviously a joke, what I meant to be a joke. And just to clarify, I do not have a French military rifle, and it is not for sale. Because I don't have one, because it's a damn joke. But that got me suspended from Facebook for like 2 weeks. Saying, you put a rifle for sale on Facebook. You were trying to sell guns on Facebook contrary to our policies. And I was like, no. And there's just like, you can request a review or request an appeal, or I don't know, whatever it works. You click on that button, and one of the options is it was a joke. And it was obviously a joke, and I tried to explain it, but there's no text box. There's no place to explain anything. And I don't even think you're dealing with humans. I think you're dealing with bots or I don't know, algorithms or something. So then I was suspended not suspended completely. I lost a bunch of privileges. Like I couldn't use groups, and I don't know. There were certain things I couldn't do for a while. And I'm like, fine, I don't care. I got better things to do. And eventually I got all my privileges back. And then I was on a page, it was a page for Christensen Arms. And I just bought a Christensen Arms, what they call a CA-10, which is a AR style rifle, but it's for 6.5 Creedmoor, and it had a precision barrel on it, and it has, and I put a nice optic on it. And Christensen Arms is a very nice line of firearms. I have no commercial relationship with them other than I bought one of their rifles. But I was on a page that I joined after buying my Christensen Arms AR-10 and 6.5 Creedmoor. I joined this page of other people that own Christensen Arms, and I thought I could learn from other people that have owned those guns longer than I have, and learned about accessories and accuracy modifications, whatever it might be. And on there, somebody posted, does anybody know where you can get the foam in your rifle cases laser cut to allow for a precision fit to your rifle? And I jumped all over that because there's a place right here in Avon, Indiana. And in fact, I've had this gentleman on my show before, Preston Wolfenstein. And listen, no ongoing commercial relationship. I don't get paid to promote his business. He doesn't even know I'm talking about him today. Just came up organically. But Wolfie's Laser Works, and which is in Avon, has laser cut several different cases for me where he cuts the foam that's in like a case, like a Pelican case, a high quality case, can laser cut that foam. He's got this awesome high tech laser there at his business, and it's all controlled by computer. He takes a picture of your rifle or your firearm, whatever it might be, and then the computer program controls the laser, and they can get it right down to some ridiculous tolerance, like 1/32 of an inch or something, all the way around that rifle or that handgun, whatever it might be, including any optics you've got on it, any accessories you've got on it. It'll cut that foam that goes inside that high quality case right down to like I said, I don't know, 64th of an inch or something incredible. And so I saw this post and said, somebody asked, does anybody know where I can have the interior foam on my rifle case cut to fit my rifle? And I'm like, oh, yes. Wolfie's Armory or Wolfie's Laser Works, two related businesses in Avon, Indiana, can do that for you, do a fabulous job. And I posted a picture of my Christensen Arms rifle in the case, in the foam lining that Wolfie's Armory cut for me. And I was proud to do so because he does a great job. I was happy to, he doesn't pay me to promote his business, but I was happy to do so on social media. And it was all about cutting foam in a case. And yes, I posted a picture of my rifle in that foam because that's what made it impressive, is how well it fit my rifle. I got suspended again because I was trying to sell my rifle on Facebook. My rifle was never for sale. It's not. I just bought it. It's not for sale. I said nothing about trying to sell it. But the bots, or I don't know, maybe it's some liberal idiot who's a real person who's looking at these posts, I don't know how that works, decided, oh no, you're trying to sell your rifle on Facebook. I got suspended again, temporarily. And I don't know, that was 30 days or however long it was. Then I was going to have a live event with Tony Katz. Tony Katz just had a live Eat, Drink, Smoke right before the Gun Guy show today. Well, Tony Katz and we had a live Eat, Drink, Smoke with Tony Katz and Fingers Malloy, followed by the Gun Guy show with me, and we were going to have that out at Premier Arms in Brownsburg. And Premier Arms is my sponsor for Monday Gun Day on Hammer and Nigel. They do a bunch of advertising on Tony Katz's shows, and they're great supporter of the community. They have fundraisers out there. That's why we were doing a fundraiser out there a few months ago. And so Tony and I had his Eat, Drink, Smoke show and my Gun Guy show, and we were raising money for veterans, particularly focused on preventing veteran suicides. And so I posted the flyer for that fundraiser at Premier Arms that said, Tony and I are doing a live Gun Guy show, a live Eat, Drink, Smoke. Come on out and join us. And they're going to have great giveaways and great raffles, and you can support a great cause and come out and see us at Premier Arms. Facebook took that and said, that's it, 3 strikes, you're trying to sell guns again. I was not selling a gun. I was telling people to come to a fundraiser that happened to be at a gun store. So that got me permanently banned, apparently, from Facebook. So I went back. I started a whole different account. But by the way, I lost control of my tactical firearms training. That's my firearms training business. I had a page with, 10, 11,000 followers on it. My law practice, the law office of Guy Relford. I have no control over that. I can see it. I can't control it because I lost that account. The 2A Project Facebook page, I guess I need to start a new one or something because it's gone. So it's kind of screwed me up on social media. But that's the update on all of that. But I have a new Facebook account. For me, it's just Guy Relford, no middle initial. Go on there. You want to give us a follow. I've got it on there as a quote-unquote public figure. So you don't have to send a friend request. You could just follow and get whatever I post on Facebook, which is an incredibly long wind-up to say, since we can't answer any damn phone calls tonight, which is frustrating for both producer Jack and I, contact me on Facebook. Send me a message, send me a post. Contact me on Twitter. Give me a follow there as well. And I can respond to your questions, or go to YouTube. And I haven't even looked at the chat yet. I see there are several people on there. We'll do that as well. So I'm way past the bottom of the hour. I thought I'd update you on my struggles with social media. In the meantime, we'll be right back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Ah, the colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Orange, you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baird Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My entire family's obsessed with all things Wicked, but my kids can't stop watching the trailer, and now they're having a Wicked-themed sleepover. Do you think our internet can handle all of the streaming and memeing going on?
Well, we've engineered our Xfinity gateways to handle hundreds of devices at once, so they can all stay magically connected.
Wow. Are you a wizard?
I wish. No, just someone that won't let a bad connection burst your internet bubble.
Now through December 22nd, get Thrillifyingly fast 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $35 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com to switch today. Keep the magic going from your screen to the big screen. And see Wicked, only in theaters November 22nd. Restrictions apply. Requires Prevost Bill and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $56 a month for internet service and $15 for Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary, not guaranteed.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by B&W HVAC, Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
Fox News
I'm Jane Fergus. President-elect Trump is looking to fill his cabinet, and Florida Representative Mike Waltz is reportedly being considered for the Secretary of Defense job. Waltz on Fox's Cavuto Live.
The President of the United States calls you to serve, then you have to take that very seriously. I think regardless of who he puts in, we need real reform in the Pentagon.
Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is also on the short list. Politics playing a part in relief efforts for Hurricane Milton victims in Highland County, Florida.
The Daily Wire obtained private messages showing a FEMA official instructing workers there to avoid homes advertising Trump.
Fox's Madison Scarpino, the FEMA employee, has reportedly been fired. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Rob. If you want to grow your hair back, check out the precision and accuracy of the Artis Robotic FUE at We Grow Hair Indy. You'll be amazed at the permanent natural results you can get and get back to work ASAP. Darren Andrews, Clinic Director of We Grow Hair Indy, is here to tell us more.
The Artis Robotic FUE hair transplant at We Grow Hair Indy, one of the most sophisticated hair transplant procedures available. The accuracy and the precision of the Artis Robotic FUE is what clients love the most. Get the results you want with our Artis FUE or multi-unit hair grafting procedure.
Don't wait. Call today and find out more about the Artis Robotic FUE at WeGrowHairIndy.com. Call 317-522-2995 for your hair evaluation. 317-522-2995 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com and grow your hair back today.
It's Hammer and Nigel for Window Nation. Experts say that heating costs are increasing up to 23% this winter. And if your windows aren't from Window Nation, your money is literally going out the window. They have some of the best insulated windows, so your heat stays inside. And right now, get these amazing windows at 50% off.
Plus, you could save even more money with 0% interest for 5 years. Hurry, this sale ends November 30th. Schedule your fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And again, I apologize we can't take phone calls as we always do. As you know, our heritage, we started where I was just a guest on other people's shows and they called in. But so I'm looking at social media for people's comments. I did get a comment that people are tired of hearing the Facebook story. So my apologies on that. If I've told that before, that that's one thing about when you're getting old, man. You tend to repeat your stories. I used to laugh at my dad telling me the same stories over and over again. If that was a repetition, I apologize for that. Probably more substantively, I had a question on Twitter or X, which is interesting. Talking about the Richard Allen trial in Delphi. And have a question from Glenn, who says, if Richard Allen is found not guilty, and considering the months of solitary confinement that he was put through, can he, short answer is, or short version of the question is, can he sue the state for cruel and unusual punishment? Listen, there's a constitutional prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. There's also a general prohibition against the use of excessive force, whether it's against a detainee, that is an arrestee, someone being held for trial, or during an arrest. It's a fairly tough road to hoe in terms of there are certain immunities that apply. You've heard about qualified immunity for law enforcement, that type thing, but it is a possibility. And by the way, let me clarify something about the Delphi trial, because I've been commenting on it as a defense attorney quite a bit since the case started, particularly on Hammer and Nigel. And a lot of people have gotten upset and even directed some ire at Hammer and Nigel, or me, or both, for what they think is one-sided coverage. And they think, well, this is all defense-oriented, and you're sitting here talking about how this guy ought to go free, and he killed those girls, and this is going to leave the family in a horrible place without closure. And let me just be very clear about something. I don't know whether Richard Allen killed those girls or not. And if he did, I absolutely hope he burns in hell. And if he did, I hope he's convicted, and I hope he spends his life in prison or gets the death penalty. I've got no problem saying that. My commentary on the trial, first of all, I've been asked to comment as a defense attorney because that's what I do, and I'm going to give my honest impression as a defense attorney. Where the prosecution has scored points and where they've submitted evidence that indicates guilt, I have commented on that. Here, just last Thursday, I was asked, just because they thought it would be interesting, I was asked by Hammer and Nigel to go on the show and give a mock closing argument. They only gave me 5 minutes, where the actual lawyers in Delphi got, I think, an hour and a half. They didn't use that all. The defense went an hour and 15 minutes. They gave me 5 minutes to say, how would you do a closing argument? So I did a closing argument as a defense attorney for arguing why the jury ought to come back with a verdict of not guilty. But let me clarify on this. Am I advocating for Richard Allen to be found not guilty? Absolutely not. Do I know whether he killed those girls or not? Hell no. And all you people on social media or others that are out there saying he killed those girls or he's completely innocent, you don't know. Unless you were an eyewitness, unless you were there on the scene, you don't actually know, just like I don't know. My commentary has been on the issue of whether I believe, based on, and again, it's second and third and fourth hand by the time I hear what happened in the courtroom. And I've acknowledged that, and I've issued disclaimers on that basis from day one. But as I've heard the evidence, there's reasonable doubt on a lot of different issues. There's reasonable doubt on some firearm-related issues that I'm qualified to comment on. And I'm going to talk about that when we come back. Does that mean I think this jury should find Richard Allen not guilty? No, I've never said that. I'm not saying that now. I've never said that on Hammer and Nigel. And listen, unless you're in the courtroom, unless you're listening to the witnesses, unless you're seeing the evidence, unless you're seeing all the exhibits, seeing the pictures, God, I feel so much for these jurors having to see these horrific pictures in the courtroom. And I've seen a lot of crime scene videos over the last 41 years as an attorney, and they're not fun. And do they cause you nightmares? Yes. And for a jury, you're just coming in, you're a member of the public, you get selected as a jury, and you have to be put through that. I feel for these people every day. I pray for them. I pray for their mental health and the peace in their minds. Am I advocating for a not guilty verdict? Absolutely not, because I'm not there in the courtroom. I don't hear the testimony. I don't judge the credibility of the witnesses. I don't hear the arguments of the lawyers. I'm hearing things second, third, and fourth hand. On that basis, I'm giving my commentary, which is my job here on the radio. Anybody doesn't like my commentary, hey, there's a button on your radio. And I've always felt that way, but I'm going to do my job, which is to offer my commentary. And anybody that ever wants me to stop expressing an opinion is going to be sorely disappointed. In the meantime, I'm taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Ah, the colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Aren't you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baird Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Rock Op Defense Solutions. These are the makers of some of the best fighting rifles you can possibly find anywhere, and they're being made right here in central Indiana. They're actually located in Avon. I have my Rod 15 from Rock Op Defense. It is the best AR-15 rifle I've ever purchased or shot, and it's been a fabulous experience. They helped me update it. When I decided to take it to an SBR, that's a short-barreled rifle, they worked with me. They replaced my upper, replaced my barrel, worked with me on exactly the kind of trigger I wanted to have on it, exactly the kind of optics I wanted to have on my rifle. Did a fabulous job. It was reasonable expense, and they work with me, and these are experts in fighting rifles. If you're interested in that and want to get an absolutely top-end rifle, as good as you can find anywhere in the country, from a manufacturer located right here in central Indiana, you got to check out Rock Op Defense Solutions. The website is Rock-Op Defense. That's Rock Op Defense, as with a dash, rock-opdefense.com. Manufacturers of some of the best fighting rifles available anywhere in the world, and they're located right here in central Indiana.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So what's in the bag today? Yesterday's leftovers? Another lunch meat sandwich? Well, go ahead and pull up a rock and settle in for a half hour of I wish I was eating something else. Or you could be eating something else, or someplace else. If you're brown bagging it at the corner of 30th and Shadeland area, drop over to His Place Eatery for 30 minutes of, why didn't I know about this place sooner? Nothing fancy, not a lot of frills. They save that for the quality of the meal. Like ribs that fall off the bone, southern fried chicken, sides that will cause your taste buds to thank you into tomorrow. Put that in your brown bag and eat it. Better yet, bank the bag. Go to His Place Eatery at the corner of 30th and Shadeland, or the newest location off 86th and Ditch Road. Your dirty boots and work clothes are welcome here. His Place, your place for lunch. Go to hisplaceeatery.com to learn more.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like business owner Brian.
Yeah, Galaxy was great. We have a business where a lot of the service techs are working out in the field, and they'll come in and they'll have even some mud or something on our shoes. So if we're having a meeting, I needed a flooring that could stand up to that, but still look good as an office setting.
Well, if you own a home or a business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Galaxy was great to work around our schedule. They were able to come in on a Saturday, and the job was completed over the weekend, and we were back in business, so we didn't miss a step.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
It's very nice looking. It's very durable. It really makes the room stand out and shine.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
Galaxy was quick to respond. They were quick to give us a solution and quick to get it completed as well. And they're going to take care of you.
Shop Dell Technologies' early holiday savings event for their lowest prices of the year. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. Early holiday savings is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Neighborhoods are popping up everywhere, but if you want something different than what you're currently seeing, Joyner Homes can build you a truly unique custom home on your own private lot or anywhere you can bring your own builder. They've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. Joyner Homes have model homes you can visit or go to joynerhomes.com to see floor plans and pricing. Also with Joyner Homes, you can start from scratch if you want to. They get lots of 5-star Google reviews. Check them out at joynerhomes.com.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra is making its way back to Gamebridge Fieldhouse on December 19th with an all-new show, The Lost Christmas Eve Tour. For tickets and more information, head to WIBC.com.
Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. We got a very short segment here before we go into the break at the top of the hour. But want to talk just a little bit about an important firearm-related issue that came up in the Delphi trial. Remember that the prosecution matched this unfired cartridge. It wasn't a spent shell casing. It was an unfired cartridge that they found at the crime scene, allegedly between the bodies of the two girls. And the prosecution brought in an Indiana State Police expert who said that through tool mark analysis, she could say that gun came out of Richard Allen's gun. But she also said that she couldn't replicate the marks by simply extracting the cartridge or comparison cartridge out of the gun, that she couldn't produce marks sufficient to compare. These are the marks by the extractor and the ejector. She had to fire the gun. And I raised an issue as to whether that's a fair comparison. Guess what? The defense put on an expert just this last week who said that's not a fair comparison, and you simply cannot draw any conclusions from that. We'll talk more about that when we come back. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and I asked my wife this morning why women don't want to get their carpets cleaned. She said they absolutely do want to get their carpets cleaned, but they just don't want the hassle. You know, I get it. Nobody wants to have to move furniture, worry about people that they don't know coming into the house, worrying about the chemicals they're using, and then waiting around for things to dry. I get it. But that's not Zerorez. And with their Gotta Love It guarantee, they're going to make sure it's a great experience that you'll never, ever regret. There is nobody better at cleaning than Zerorez. Right now, get 3 rooms Zerorez-ified starting at just $129 and $75 off air duct cleaning too. That's a $40 savings on the carpet cleaning. The Zerorez service is easy to line up, and you can go online at ZerorezIndy.com to do the scheduling at your convenience. Just call them and mention WIBC. It's Zerorez. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZerorezIndy.com. That's ZerorezIndy.com.
Mortgage rates are down and creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. Maximize your home sale price now with the market expert who delivers maximum money in less time, Mark Dietel. Maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Mark from Danville had to say about working with Mark Dietel. I finished building my new perfect home out of state and needed out of my old place quickly. Plus, to cover the cost of the new home, I needed a big price. The Mark Dietel team was my answer. My home sold in 3 days on the market over my asking price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. markdietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Planning to propose this holiday? Shane Company is ready to help you find your dream engagement ring. We handpick the most beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. So when you walk in the door, you can trust your rock is in stock. At Shane Company, we've always sourced directly, cut out the middleman, and pass the savings on to you. We work with your budget, not against it. We'll also protect your ring for life with our free unmatched lifetime warranty. Come see us at shaneco.com and in-store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
The team. I'm Jane Fergus, Fox News. The process of filling cabinet positions in the second Trump administration is well underway. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson is in West Palm Beach, Florida.
With a Republican majority coming to the Senate, President-elect Trump should have no problem getting his picks for the cabinet confirmed. We'll let the handicapping begin. Let's start with Secretary of State, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, and Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, who is Donald Trump's ambassador to Japan, and Rick Grenell are the leading candidates. Of course, Grenell, Trump's ambassador to Germany and former acting director of national intelligence. For Defense Secretary, we have the 3 Mikes: Mike Pompeo, Mike Waltz, both U.S. Army veterans, of course. For DHS Secretary, we have Chad Wolf and Tom Homan. And for Attorney General, Senator Mike Lee, Ken Paxton. Lastly, Doug Burgum as Energy Secretary.
And in California, several races there that will decide the balance of power in the House of Representatives are still too close to call. Fox's Christina Coleman reports.
These key contests will help determine who has the majority in the House. Republicans are confident they will keep control of it. Both parties need at least 218 seats to win the House. Right now, Republicans have 212 seats and the Democrats have 200. In one of California's hyper-competitive races, Democratic State Senator Dave Min is competing with Republican businessman Scott Baugh to fill House Representative Katie Porter's open seat in Orange County. There's two competitive House races in Orange County right now. It's historically a Republican stronghold in this deep blue state. Here in California, it could be days before we know who won these close House races, since mail-in ballots postmarked by Election Day are allowed to arrive up until a week after the election.
And notably, multiple solidly blue districts in California turned red this election cycle. America's listening to Fox News.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peters, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on FoxNews.com. And get the podcast 5 days a week at FoxNewsPodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
FEMA facing backlash.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They're still searching for her. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. Amanda Martin's family says she last spoke with them on September 13th, but she was not reported missing until the 24th. The Scott County woman has yet to be found.
We have conducted foot searches. We've conducted canine searches. We've conducted canine searches with cadaver dogs. We have conducted drone searches. We're not going to stop looking for Amanda until we find her.
That's Sheriff Jerry Gooden in a video posted to Facebook. If you know anything about this, please call 911, the Scott County Sheriff's Office, or Crime Stoppers. Indy Metro Police are investigating after at least 2 people were shot in the Circle City Friday night, and one of them died. Officers say one of the victims walked into Community East Hospital on North Ritter Avenue and was last known to be in serious condition. The other victim was found on North Arlington Avenue and was pronounced dead at the scene. But top chefs and home cooks are competing for a top prize of $300,000 at the World Food Championships that are running through Tuesday at the State Fairgrounds in Indianapolis.
We're going to have a taste of the WFC. You can go in and get a ticket and taste 12 different dishes by previous world champions.
Mark Conway says there are more than 1,200 different cooks there from all over the globe. Tickets are available at worldfoodchampionships.com. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Tonight, widespread on and off showers are likely, low temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Tomorrow, on-off showers are likely for the morning, high temperatures in the mid 60s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
If your loved one has stopped seeing friends because hearing loss prevents the use of the telephone, please help them by visiting RelayIndiana.com. RelayIndiana.com provides captioned telephones that allow the hard of hearing to have phone conversations through voice recognition technology. The other person's words appear on an easy-to-read screen. Help your loved one stay in touch with their family and friends by getting them the CapTel captioned telephone from Relay Indiana. Learn more at RelayIndiana.com.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. I was on the verge of being homeless. My house was being foreclosed on. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. As we always are, important news out of Illinois yesterday, where a ruling was issued by a federal district court judge in the Southern District of Illinois that ruled that Illinois' assault weapon ban, quote unquote, and high-capacity magazine ban, quote-unquote, were both unconstitutional. And let's talk about that, where that comes from, and where we see this going. Now, does that mean if you live in another state that has a so-called assault weapon ban, and I always need to clarify, what are we talking about when we talk about assault weapons, quote unquote? As we always know, and people want to correct me on this all the time, say, Guy, can you define an assault weapon? What's an assault weapon? Hey, look, I'm on your side on this. Assault weapon ban is the term that's often used. When they pass the laws, when they introduce the bills, before we fight over them, they always call them an assault weapon ban. Assault weapon, as I've said for decades now, is a political term made up to demonize the most popular rifles in America. Not just rifles, some pistols as well. Frankly, as they've been regulated, some shotguns too. It's a political term. It means nothing to real gun owners. We know them as the rifles or shotguns or pistols they are, and we don't feel the need to use this term simply meant to demonize them like assault weapons. So listen, I get that. I've been making that argument for a damn long time. But that's what the bills are called when they're introduced. That's what the laws are called if they get passed, God forbid. And so that's the terminology that we're relegated to. So what are we talking about? We're talking about semi-automatic rifles, typically the broadest category. A lot of different firearms over the years have been regulated and even quote-unquote banned or restricted as quote-unquote assault weapons other than rifles. But the broadest category of so-called assault weapons are semi-automatic rifles that accept a detachable magazine and often, depending on the regulation you're talking about, have some additional scary feature associated with that rifle, like a pistol grip or something silly like a flash hider or a barrel shroud, which is my favorite goofy regulation. Talking about barrel shrouds, what's that do? It's a piece of ventilated metal that essentially covers your portions of your barrel to prevent you from burning yourself on a hot barrel. Does that make the gun more accurate? No. Does it make it more deadly? No. It has nothing to do with the lethality whatsoever of a firearm, but okay, that's some scary feature that some politician somewhere decided we needed to regulate. Or a bayonet lug. Yeah, I've never felt compelled to have a bayonet on my home defense rifle. Not particularly critical. If somebody else decides they want to have that feature on their rifle, okay. It's been used in a lot of different wars and a lot of different personal defense situations, I would assume, over the years, not something I think about. But my point is that there have been assault weapons passed in several different states, and now they're being litigated as to whether or not they're constitutional. In Illinois, which had an assault weapon ban, It was just found yesterday to be unconstitutional. Why is that? What's the basis for that? Well, we've had a decision that's been out now for a couple of years, the Bruen decision. It's New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen. And the actual substance, the topic of that decision was New York's licensing statute for licensing handguns, where they said you had to have some particularized need for self-defense and some particularized individual need, more so than the general public, to defend yourself. Some need to carry a gun, and like the licensing law said, some bureaucrat somewhere got to determine whether your particularized individual need to carry a gun in public to defend yourself, defend your family, was adequate to justify the state of New York issuing you a handgun license. And literally some bureaucrat somewhere could scratch their chin and say, well, you over there, you have a sufficient need for a handgun. You over there, I don't think you do. And just saying, hey, I want to exercise my constitutional right to bear arms, or I want to defend myself and my family, or I live in a high crime neighborhood and therefore want to defend myself when I go out in public, or I have a job that requires me to carry large amounts of money or jewels, whatever it is. They basically made you prove that you had an active threat against you needed to defend yourself from. And if you couldn't prove that, you didn't get a license. And that issue went up before the Supreme Court of the United States, and ultimately they ruled not only that licensing scheme was unconstitutional, but they said, we're going to define a new test for determining what gun control laws are constitutional and what are not. And this is the exact basis under which the assault weapon ban from Illinois yesterday was found to be unconstitutional by one district court judge. And that is that the tests that have been applied by courts, there was sort of a balancing test that have been used. You say, well, does the government have a compelling interest? And if so, we look at the degree of infringement on a particular right. And does it really infringe on the core value associated with that right? And then we, again, balance that against the interest. The Supreme Court threw all that out. That's a test that had been used by lower courts for years. In the Bruen decision, they threw all that out and they said, no, the test is this particular gun control law consistent with a history and tradition of the regulation of Second Amendment rights going back to the time of the founding? And again, this is the text, history, and tradition test. And this is the test now. The courts, under the Supreme Court's guidance, and the Supreme Court's ruling, mandatory guidance from the Supreme Court, they say you first look to the text of the amendment to say, what does it protect? And that's where we received a bunch of guidance in the Heller decision back in 2008. What does the Supreme Court protect in terms of rights, in terms of firearms? And it said firearms commonly used for lawful purposes in the United States. Commonly used for lawful purposes in the United States. That's what's protected. Then, under the Bruen case, they say we look at the text, which is what is protected under the text of the particular amendment, then the history and tradition of the regulation, in this case of firearms, going back to the time of the founding. And unless the government can find an analog, a comparison, to say, yes, this is consistent with how we've regulated firearms, it's unconstitutional. Now, in the Rahimi case, which is more recent in the Supreme Court said, and that was looking at the constitutionality of a statute that says people who are found to be a danger, specifically adjudicated by a court to be a danger such that a domestic violence order of protection was issued against them, defending some person that they've threatened or injured in the past. Supreme Court said, well, that's constitutional because we don't have to find a particular identical regulation going back to the time of the founding, We just have to look at the principles underlying the law in question to see whether those are consistent. And they said, well, taking guns away from people who have been specifically determined to be dangerous, that's consistent with how we've regulated Second Amendment rights in this country going back to the founding. And they were able to come up with a couple of examples. And so that broadened the test just a little bit, but in the case of an assault weapon ban, you need to go back and say, okay, have particular types of firearms based on their capacity or their rate of fire. By the way, we're still talking about semi-automatic firearms here with so-called assault weapons. So you're talking about one bullet per trigger pull. Is it consistent with the history and tradition of the regulation of Second Amendment rights in this country going back to the time of the founding to say firearms based on their capacity or their rate of fire simply as semi-automatic firearms ought to be banned, that you can actually prohibit those from being possessed? And let me tell you, from the time the Bruen case came out, couple 3 years ago now, I said, oh, high-capacity magazine bans, assault weapon bans, quote-unquote, those are done. Those are toast. Because the first is the arm in question protected by the Second Amendment? And then is the prohibition of that arm consistent with the history and tradition of the regulation of firearms in this country? I'll tell you what, a little past the quarter hour, I'm going to take a break here. We'll come back. We'll talk more about that and exactly why this judge in Illinois determined that quote-unquote ban in Illinois is unconstitutional. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Ah, the colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Aren't you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baird Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for the law offices of Guy Relford. You know, one thing we do a lot of at the law office are expungements. We also do restoration of rights petitions. That is, if you've lost your gun rights because of something in your criminal history, for a lot of those issues, whether it's a conviction or otherwise, for a lot, we can restore your gun rights. Now, the law allows that for some, but not all. If you're interested in your situation, if you have a felony conviction, you have another type of legal issue that's prohibited you from possessing a firearm, give us a call. Locate us through the website. It's relfordlaw.com. Well, we can set up a consultation, give you some information about whether or not we can restore your gun rights, which we've done for a lot of clients over the years. We'd love to talk to you about that as well. Just give us a contact through the website at relfordlaw.com.
Jesus, that name invokes a response. Some love him, some are unsure about him, some are indifferent to him, and some hate him. Wherever you land, join us at Life Church as we journey through the book of John to discover who Jesus actually is. You can go to lifechurchin.com for campus locations and service times. And whatever you think you may know about Jesus, we promise you there's more.
Technology Recyclers is Indiana's best choice for computer and electronics recycling. A Hoosier veteran-owned company, Technology Recyclers is R2, Rios, and NAID certified, 100% landfill-free, and always guarantees complete data destruction. And you can expect free business pickups anywhere in Indiana at tech-recyclers.com or call 1-800-237-3887. Technology Recyclers, the official sponsors of tomorrow. That's tech-recyclers.com for a stress-free experience in recycling.
Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens fall sale is still on. 30 to 50% off all trees and shrubs in stock so you can finish up that landscaping for next year. If you're thinking about interior holiday decorating, they've got you covered. Stop and shop stunning displays filled with the best quality Christmas decor. Holiday open houses are coming too the weekend before Thanksgiving. That's Miss M's in Bargersville on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road, MissM'sHomeandGarden.com, and Sundown Gardens, 186th and Spring Mill Road in Westfield, SundownGardens.com.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg, Central Indiana's premier arms dealer. They have over 1,200 firearms in stock, the largest selection of used firearms in the area, from pre-Civil War to modern guns. Premier Arms has always put their customers ahead of their profits. They always have ammunition available when a customer buys a firearm. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Find them online at premierarms.com. Premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you.
Over the last few years, things have gotten weird.
And for our kids, these things can be overwhelmingly stressful.
Scientific research
and real-life experience tell us that the #1 antidote to stress is authentic, trusted relationships.
So that's why I
am committed to building and maintaining a trusted space.
This is a trusted space.
Access free films and resources to build trusted spaces in your schools and communities at atrustedspace.org.
Smokey the Bear.
Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
It's what you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Dropping temperatures? B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical has you covered. Visit bplusw.com/radio today. B&W is your independent American Standard Air dealer.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So, the reason I predicted after the Bruin decision here a while back that a lot of these gun control laws were going to fall as unconstitutional is because they really can't be sustained as being consistent with the history and tradition of regulation of the Second Amendment and firearms generally going back to the time of the founding. And listen, we talked about earlier the sort of the interaction between state and federal law. And under federal law, if you have any felony conviction, for instance, that you can't possess a firearm. And there's been a lot of misinformation, as I mentioned in the first hour, talking about how nonviolent felons can possess a gun. Well, no, they can't. Under current law, no, they can't. Any felony conviction prohibits you from possessing a firearm, and in fact, it can land you in jail for up to 10 years under federal law. But does that mean that law is constitutional? Well, you know, a lot of times when I see out on the internet, and a lot of people like to express their opinions on social media, that's what social media is for, right? And a lot of people are out there saying this law is unconstitutional. Well, let me tell you, it's unconstitutional once a court says it's unconstitutional. My opinion that it's unconstitutional, or your opinion, is just that. It's an opinion right up until a court agrees with us. Good news is that's my job. And I get to go into court and I get to argue for those things. And I do so, and I enjoy the hell out of it. It's why I chose this profession. But until a court agrees with us, particularly a court in our jurisdiction that actually controls what we can and cannot do where we live, then we're just expressing an opinion on social media, including me as a lawyer who does this for a living. So the law that says, for instance, nonviolent felons can't possess firearms, do I think that's constitutional? Absolutely not. Does that mean if someone gets arrested here in Indiana tomorrow for possession of a gun by a felon, when their felony and their particular felony was nonviolent, does that mean they'll be able to avoid a jail sentence? Not necessarily. Goes back to my point earlier, which is until a court agrees with us. a court here that controls us, where we live. And I got to tell you, it gets a little monotonous being out on social media where I'm like telling people what the law is, and people want to come back and go, well, that law is unconstitutional. Well, that's great. That means once you get arrested and convicted under that law because a judge hasn't agreed with you that the law is unconstitutional, you can tell your roommate Bubba in prison exactly how unconstitutional that law is, and you two can have a great discussion on that. In the meantime, you're in jail because a judge hasn't agreed with us, in our opinion, that that law is unconstitutional. And then I also see out on social media, I see all the time, things like, free men don't follow unconstitutional laws. I don't know why they limit it to men. Free citizens don't follow unconstitutional laws. Listen, I respect anybody who says a particular law is unconstitutional. I'm going to break that law. I don't care who knows it, and I'll defend myself, and I'll hire the best lawyer I can, and I will win that case and change the law forever, because my case will go to the Supreme Court of the United States and will change things. And listen, people like Mr. Bruen in New York, who challenged the licensing law, he won, and he changed the law at the Supreme Court, and that's going to change the law across the country for a lot of people. Mr. Heller, who said, oh, hell no, that the restriction that you can't own a gun in the District of Columbia is unconstitutional, and I will challenge that. He changed that for the entire country because of the Supreme Court's opinion in the Heller versus D.C. case. And so having the courage of your convictions, I applaud and I support. But make no mistake, in the meantime, that if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, if we're wrong on the constitutionality of a given statute, because a court disagrees with us at the end of the day, you're still going to jail. So the opinion on social media or otherwise of what's constitutional and what's not, that's awesome. And I support anybody making those arguments. And there's a reason I have the Second Amendment tattooed on my right arm, because I believe in it, and I'll fight for it, and I'll litigate it. But the key is to get in a court to agree with us. So what's the likelihood, for instance, of this prohibition against even nonviolent felons possessing firearms? Well, I think that's a fascinating question. And there is a case, it's still kind of winding around, that I hope will be in front of the Supreme Court here much sooner than later. And if I recall the name of the litigant correctly, it's Range versus USA. And this is a gentleman who was found to illegally possess a firearm because he had a felony conviction, and his felony conviction arose out of him lying on his application for food stamps. So apparently he lied about his income in his application for food stamps, and that, being a felony under federal law, then prohibited him from possessing firearms. Is there a crime less violent than lying on your application for food stamps? If there is, I don't know what it is. That is as nonviolent as it gets. And by the way, we have a Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who's already written an opinion when she was a judge on the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. The Seventh Circuit, by the way, is a circuit that controls us here in Indiana. Indiana is in the Seventh Judicial Circuit in the federal court system. But while she was there, she wrote a dissenting opinion. She was in the minority, but she wrote a dissenting opinion for the Seventh Circuit that said that any law that says a nonviolent felon can't possess a firearm is unconstitutional, because it's not consistent with the history and tradition of regulation of firearms. And this was even before the Bruen decision. The Bruen decision only supports that outcome. So this is all completely fascinating to me because I think that ultimately the Supreme Court, if and when they take the case up, it doesn't mean that range case specifically. There are other cases out there winding their way through the system. What do I think the likelihood is? They'll find the law that, to an extent that it applies to nonviolent felons, that's unconstitutional. I think it's very likely they'll find it's unconstitutional. I'd like to see Congress amend the statute. I'd also like the Supreme Court to say the statute as written is unconstitutional. And by the way, there's a hell of an argument to say even if you have a felony, a violent felony, for instance, and I've heard people make this argument, and it's got some logic behind it, that if you're not so dangerous to society after having served your time in jail or served whatever sentence it is you received for the felony that you committed, if you're not so dangerous that we need to keep you in prison, so you're deemed safe enough to release you into society, what's the argument to say you're not also safe enough to exercise your Second Amendment rights? You've either served your time and paid your debt to society, or you haven't. Now, do I see on the horizon a ruling from a court or a change of the law in Congress or a change of the law here in Indiana that says if you're convicted of even a violent felony, that it's unconstitutional to say that you cannot possess a firearm? No, I don't see that coming. But because that argument exists, that if you paid your debt to society sufficient to be released from prison, you ought to get all your constitutional rights back, that to me is that much more compelling to say, isn't that particularly true when the felony you were convicted of, it was in fact nonviolent? We know how one justice feels about that. She's already written an opinion. But that is on the horizon. I think that needs to change. And I don't see any support historically for the idea that a nonviolent criminal, even if someone convicted of a felony, ought to lose their gun rights. And we'll see what the Supreme Court does or doesn't do on that point. In the meantime, we have at least one judge in the Southern District of Illinois who says the assault weapon ban passed in Illinois is unconstitutional under the same legal principles we're talking about. We'll see where that case goes. Do I see a Supreme Court opinion on assault weapons? Yeah, eventually. I don't think we're going to see it in the next couple of years. Eventually, I think we'll see that as well. Right now, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Ah, the colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Orange, you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baird Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
So what's in the bag today? Yesterday's leftovers? Another lunch meat sandwich? Well, go ahead and pull up a rock and settle in for a half hour of I wish I was eating something else. Or you could be eating something else, or someplace else. If you're brown bagging it at the corner of 30th and Shadeland area, drop over to His Place Eatery for 30 minutes of why didn't I know about this place sooner? Nothing fancy, not a lot of frills. They save that for the quality of the meal. Like ribs that fall off the bone, southern fried chicken, sides that will cause your taste buds to thank you into tomorrow. Put that in your brown bag and eat it. Better yet, bank the bag. Go to His Place Eatery at the corner of 30th and Shadeland or the newest location off 86th and Ditch Road. Your dirty boots and work clothes are welcome here. His Place, your place for lunch. Go to hisplaceeatery.com to learn more.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family heating and air.
Maintenance is going to drastically increase the efficiency and performance of your system. It's also going to significantly improve the longevity of it. People think that they are saving money by skipping their maintenance. And in reality, they're just shaving years off the life and increasing the consumption of that unit, spending a lot more in the long term.
Get your tune-up today at Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by B&W HVAC, Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
Fox News, I'm Jim Osman. Here's what's happening. Former President Trump has a lot to decide in his transition back to the presidency. Trump transition co-chair Tulsi Gabbard explains why the president won.
He wasn't trying to curate his message to tell people just what he thought they wanted to hear. And he was addressing very real issues that the American people are most concerned about.
She's speaking there on Fox's Hannity. At the White House, President Biden has invited President-elect Trump for a meeting this coming week. It's a custom that Mr. Biden is continuing, and he promises a peaceful transfer of power. Out west, Democratic Nevada Senator Jackie Rosen will be going back to Capitol Hill after a rough-and-tumble re-election campaign. Mail-in ballots helped put her over the top. Still no call on who will control the House. America's listening to Fox News.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good? Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Learn how to get Comcast Business Internet and Security Edge plus Wi-Fi backup for $59 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement when you add Comcast Business Unlimited Mobile. And ask how to get up to a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 11/17/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 300 megabit per second internet, Security Edge, and Wi-Fi backup. Eco bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Don't stress about plumbing repairs. Call L.D. Smith for honest advice and a free second opinion on any estimate.
L.D. Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Indy Humane, committed to helping Central Indiana's pets in need since 1905. Find your new best friend today. IndyHumane.org.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Well, we're heading into a new legislative session. And you may not realize it, but we're less than 2 months away from the beginning of the legislative session here in Indiana. And listen, the time to rest on our laurels or to be pretty content about where we are here in Indiana in terms of gun laws, it's not now, nor is it ever. I mean, what's the quote? The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. I believe that was Thomas Jefferson, if I have that correct. And I couldn't agree with that more. And that certainly applies to every time we have a legislative session come up in Indiana. And I got to tell you that I'm concerned with the direction, not so much of gun laws. I'm very proud of what we've done on gun laws in Indiana and how we compare to other states. But I'm concerned with the constituency of the General Assembly. That is, who we're electing across the state. And that may just be because, I live in Zionsville, and I grew up in Carmel. My office is in Carmel. And I'm seeing an area like Hamilton County, for instance, that has been a stronghold for conservative principles and Republican leadership for a substantial period of time, and I'm seeing it turn a bunch more liberal. There are even people running as Republicans because they think they need to run as Republicans who are not conservative by any means and are no great friends of the Second Amendment. And that's true across the country. And, it's true across the state is what I meant to say. And it's been disappointing to me that we've got a whole bunch of Republicans in the Indiana General Assembly, and some of them, and listen, is the term rhino overused? Yes. And by the way, it's RINO. You don't put the H in there because it stands for Republican in name only. And do we have too many of those in the Indiana General Assembly? Yes. And do I think it's going to be a continued battle to preserve gun rights as we have them here in Indiana? Yes. And it is not time to get lazy on that point. And every single session, and I'm speaking now as the head of the 2A Project, and we're a gun rights advocacy group here in Indiana. Our buddy Kelly and Avon and Jerry Torr, the co-directors of legislative policy with the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association, are work with ISRPA every session. And we always have an agenda that's both offensive and defensive. There are always things we want to accomplish, and specifically the priorities I have for Indiana and that I have through the 2A Project, where there are things we want to accomplish to support, expand, defend your Second Amendment rights. Then we also have to fight against those things that are brought up every single year. Will there be an assault weapon ban right here in Indiana? Introduces a bill in the upcoming session that starts in January. Yes, there will be. And there'll be a so-called high-capacity magazine ban. And there'll be a safe storage law that says if you even have anybody under your same roof, under 18, but you have a gun on your nightstand, you go to jail because you haven't stored your gun safely. As idiotic as that is, as inconsistent with the reality of gun ownership as that is, I can have a 17-year-old who's a state champion in sporting clays who lives in my house, but if I have a gun on my nightstand because they're not 18, I haven't stored my gun responsibly, and I'm a criminal? Oh, hell no. But we'll have laws introduced that'll have some support, and we'll have to play defense. We'll have to play defense, hopefully, to make sure they don't get a hearing at all. If they get a hearing, that we show up and we express our opinions. But then we're also playing offense. We're also trying to accomplish certain things. And I've got a couple of things on my list. Now, listen, we've done some incredible things. And a lot of times people who just like to whine and complain don't really realize how good we have it in Indiana. And I hear all the time, for instance, that, there are states out there that have just so much better gun laws than we do in Indiana. I don't know what state we're talking about. People always, for some reason, people want to talk about Texas. Texas has a lot of gun laws and restrictions on Second Amendment rights that we don't have here in Indiana. For instance, Texas has a law, you can't carry a gun into a place that serves alcohol. We don't have that in Indiana. Texas has a law that says you can't have any amount of alcohol in your system if you're in possession of a firearm. We don't have that law. Now, does that mean I'm advocating for people going and get stone cold drunk and carrying guns? Of course not. But if I'm carrying my gun and I want to stop by and have a beer on my way home, get back in my car when I'm totally safe to drive, I'm totally sober, but I've had a beer with friends on my way home. Should I be able to do that? Hell yes. I can do that here in Indiana. There are a lot of states out there, states you consider to be pro 2A, where you can't take a gun into a sports stadium. Not because it's the policy of the Colts or the Pacers like we have here, but because it's actually against the law. You go to jail if you do that. We don't have that law. There are a lot of restrictions across the country that we don't have. We have a great preemption law that says local governments can't regulate firearms. We have a law that I wrote, we got introduced in 2019, that provides complete immunity against civil liability if you use force in self-defense. That doesn't exist in a lot of states. So we have a lot of fantastic laws, but every year we still want to have a schedule. We still want to have an agenda. The things I'm looking at this year, because I defend a lot of red flag cases. What are red flag cases? They're cases where guns are seized from people that are deemed to be dangerous. They're accused of being dangerous by law enforcement, for instance, or someone has called and reported them. Oh, this person's, they're crazy, they're violent, they're suicidal. And then guns can be seized from them when they've not been convicted of any crime. And then you get a hearing, and you get a hearing to determine whether or not that person's in fact dangerous as defined by the statute. And listen, we've improved the red flag statute a lot. It's still imperfect. But there are a couple of things about it that I think are incredibly imperfect that I intend to try very, very hard to fix this session in the Indiana General Assembly. We're a little past the 3/4 hour. We'll take a break. We'll leave it there. I'll come back and talk about what else we want to accomplish. By the way, if you're on the YouTube feed, you got something else you'd like to see us do in the Indiana General Assembly this year, leave me a message on the YouTube feed. I'll try to check Facebook and Twitter as well. But right now we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Ah, the colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Aren't you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baird Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford with the law offices of Guy Relford. As I mentioned last break, one thing we really enjoy doing are expungements and restorations. If you've lost your gun rights because of a felony conviction or something else on your criminal history, hey, give us a call or contact us through the website, which is relfordlaw.com. Not all convictions, but some that have caused you to lose your gun rights, we can actually expunge that, seal your record, and or restore your gun rights. We'd love to talk to you about that if you're interested in that. Or if you have someone in your family or friends interested in that, have them give us a call, relfordlaw.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Mortgage rates are down and creating more active buyers and sellers. You've been waiting. Now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving prices down. Maximize your home sale now with the market expert who delivers maximum money in less time, Mark Dietl. Perhaps you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Ray in Indianapolis had to say about working with Mark Dietl. I needed to move in a hurry, so I was out the door into a new home, but left with the big problem of selling my old home with 2 mortgage payments fast approaching. I heard Mark Dietl was the answer, and I heard right. I was ecstatic when Mark sold my home for the price I needed in 2 days on the market. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
At Shane Company, we want you to be the holiday hero. We have so many ways to create unique, fine jewelry gifts. Give a ring or necklace with their favorite gemstone like amethyst or peachy morganite, one to match their eyes, or even pick out their favorite team colors. Customize our North Star charm with the gemstone of your choice for a reminder to follow their own path. Or create a personalized piece with zodiac, birthstone, and diamond letter charms. Visit us in store and shop online at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood. We did not know until after it didn't work on our floor. It just peeled up like a cheap suit. And so my wife says, we got to do something. And so she started looking around on the internet and she found Galaxy.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
We got Galaxy out here. They got here at about 8 o'clock in the morning and they finished up at 6 o'clock that night. Other than having a beautiful garage floor, you couldn't tell they were here. Just did a wonderful job on it.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
Still looks fantastic, and anybody that visits our house, that's all they want to talk about. I mean, they just can't believe how nice the garage floor looks.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Check out what's going on with 93 WIBC.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show on Veterans Day, powered by the Veteran Support Network, Operation Rudolph. Listen Monday to find out more on the homeless veterans living on our streets right here in the Circle City and how you can help.
More info online at WIBC.com. Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment here of the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Today on my personal agenda, and this is only because I handle these cases and I see the impact this has. I mentioned red flag cases and the red flag law. Again, it allows the seizure of firearms from people who have not been convicted of any crime. And listen, I've already been involved in improving that statute. I worked on this hard in 2019. I wrote some different changes to the law that were implemented in 2019. We changed the definition of dangerous to make it much, much better. That's allowed people who are truly not dangerous to avoid losing their Second Amendment rights. But there's still some major problems. Do you know that because a red flag case is, you're not being prosecuted for a crime when you're subject to a red flag case? Your guns have been seized, and now you go have a hearing on the issue of whether you're dangerous or not. That's a civil proceeding. And so a couple of problems with that. You know, you don't have a right to counsel. Let's say you're saying, wait a minute. And by the way, if you go in and they find you to be dangerous, they have a hearing, they find you to be dangerous, now it's illegal for you to possess a firearm. If you're found with a firearm after you've been found to be dangerous, after they have a hearing in your red flag case, you're now a criminal. You didn't commit a crime. Somebody just said you're too dangerous to have a firearm. You lost your hearing. But if you went in to have that hearing beforehand, you say, wait a minute, my constitutional right to bear arms is at risk here. I want a lawyer. Do you know you don't get a lawyer? A judge will not appoint a lawyer for you because it's a civil case. And by the way, a lot of the prosecutors in the counties right here where I practice, and I've handled red flag cases all over the state. They bank on that. They know people are going to show up and not have a lawyer. Shouldn't there be the right to a lawyer? And I know you're not being convicted of a crime, but you're losing a constitutional right. Why shouldn't you have a lawyer? The right to counsel in that process. And I'll tell you another problem. Do you know that when we go in and we win a red flag case, and I've won a lot of them, And don't ever listen to a lawyer when he starts bragging about his one-loss history is, but let me just tell you, there are damn few we ever haven't won. And when you win it, when you win a red flag case and your client is found to not be dangerous, someone's accused them of being dangerous, it could be completely vindictive. It could be completely false in terms of a malicious accusation. Somebody's just trying, they know you're a cop and they want to take your gun rights away so you can't do your job. They know you're a firearms instructor. They know you work in a gun shop. They know you're a competitive sporting clay shooter. I've seen all those situations. I've seen every one of those situations. And so somebody just to be vindictive against you, they initiate a red flag case. Oh, I think this guy's suicidal. Oh, this guy's violent. He threatened me. I saw one. I had a case where there was a dispute between neighbors over where they left their trash cans. And they were always yelling and screaming and whining at each other about the trash cans. But one of them was a competitive sporting clay shooter. And his neighbor would see him loading and unloading his guns out of his car all the time. And that resulted in a red flag case. That's the kind of thing we need to fix. I'll talk more about this next time. Guy Relford on WIBC.
Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens fall sale is still on. 30 to 50% off all trees and shrubs in stock. It's a great time to finish up your landscape for next year, and if you're ready to start interior holiday decorating, they have you covered. Stop in and shop those stunning displays filled with the best quality Christmas decor. Holiday open houses are coming the weekend before Thanksgiving. Miss M's in Bargersville on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Barrington Jewels believes in the timeless value of exquisite craftsmanship. Discover stunning collections for engagements, weddings, and more. Whether you're looking for the perfect diamond or a unique pre-owned piece, the expert staff at Barrington Jewels is here to guide you. Visit today to find the jewelry that will last a lifetime. Visit Barrington Jewels today or shop online at barringtonjewels.com. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We know to contact Indiana 811 at least 2 working days before every dig. But did you know spraying a white line around your digging area means utility flags will be placed only in that area? Fewer flags in the yard? Easier mowing? Everybody wins.